Industry structure and firm strategy. The five forces model. Industry. It is a group of incumbent companies that face more or less the same set of supplier and buyers. In other means, it is a group of manufacturers or businesses that produce a particular kind of goods and services. In modern economies, there are dozens of industry classifications. Industry classifications, these are typically grouped into larger categories which we call sectors. That simply means business, which is a part of economy made up by companies. They divide sector into three. These are primary sector, which is producing raw materials, secondary sector, which is carrying out manufacturers, and tertiary sector, which is producing sales services. Industry analysis, a method to identify an industry's profit potential and derive implications for firm's strategic position within an industry. Strategic position, a firm's strategic profile based on a value creation and cost. For furthermore explanation, industry analysis, it is a market assessment tool used by businesses and analysts to understand the competitive dynamics of an industry. It helps them get a sense what is happening in the industry. It also helps them to identify both the opportunities and threats coming their way and gives a strong idea of the present and future scenario of the industry. There are three commonly used and important methods of performing industry analysis. The three methods are: number 1, competitive forces model or Porter's five forces model. Number 2, broad factors analysis, also known as PES analysis. And number 3, SWOT analysis. This is Michael Eugene Porter, an American academic known for his theory on economics, business strategy, and social causes. He developed the highly influential five forces model to help managers understand the profit potential of different industries and how they can position their respective firms to gain and sustain competitive advantage. Porter derived two key insights that form the basis of his seminal five forces model. Number 1, rather than defining competition narrowly as the firm's closest competitors to explain and predict a firm's performance, competition must be viewed more broadly to encompass not only direct rivals but also a set of other forces in industry, like buyers, suppliers, potential new entry of other firms, and the threat of substitutes. Number 2, the profit potential of an industry is neither random nor entirely determined by industry-specific factors. Rather, it is a function of the five forces that shape competition, like threat of entry, power of suppliers, power of buyers, threat of substitutes, and rivalry among existing firms. Competition in the five forces model. The first major insight this model provides is the fact that while a firm's ability to create as large as a gap as possible, the value the firm's product or service generates, and the cost to produce it is essential to create economic value V2C. The firm must also be able to capture a significant share of it to gain and sustain competitive advantage. Competition describes the tug-of-war between these factors to capture as much as possible of the economic value created in industry. The focal firm's managers, therefore, must be concerned not only about the intensity of rivalry among direct competitors, but also about the strength of the other competitive forces that are attempting to extract part or all the economic value the firm creates. Because, according to Porter, understanding the competitive forces and their underlying causes reveals the roots of an industry's current profitability while providing a framework for anticipating and influencing competition over time. This is one of the most famous model ever developed for industry's analysis, is the Porter's five forces model, which was introduced by Michael Porter in his 1980 book, Competitive Strategy: Techniques for Analyzing Industries and Competitors. According to Porter, analysis of the five forces gives an accurate impression of the industries and make analysis easier. In our corporate and business strategy course, we covered these 5 forces and an additional force. Power up complementary, good or service providers. Porter's model identifies 5 key competitive forces that managers need to consider when analyzing the industry's environment and formulating competitive strategy. Number 1, threat of entry. Number 2, power up suppliers. Number 3, power up buyers. Number 4, threat of substitutes. And 5, rivalry among existing force, which is discussed by the next reporter.